I grew up in the late 90s, so I've always been a big fan of Pokemon ever since I was a kid. I've played pretty much every game there was, and have been collecting Pokemon cards for as long as I can remember. I'm an adult now, but my friends and I still continue to buy and trade Pokemon cards amongst ourselves, which is what led me to Craigslist. I was browsing the internet, looking for some old and rare Pokemon cards online when I came across an ad on Craigslist. It piqued my interest. It was an ad for a box full of random cards, which the owner estimated was around 500 individuals. Since not many people care for Pokemon cards, you'll find many people throwing away or selling super valuable ones, and I was hoping that would be the case with this guy. It was listed for $20. I responded to the ad and waited eagerly for a response. The man responded to me within a few minutes and agreed to sell me the box of cards. I gave him my address, and he told me that he would be here in 10 minutes. I waited at my front door, and after about 10 minutes went by, a black car pulled into my driveway. An older man got out, walked over to the trunk of his car, and pulled out a huge box. I walked down to my driveway to greet him. He was kind, but had an odd smell coming from him and his vehicle. I brushed it off and gave him the money. He handed over the large box, which I had to carry with 2 hands, and went back inside. The man watched me walk all the way to the door, and then left. I looked through the box right away, trying to find any rare or expensive cards. There were hundreds of cards, just like the listing had said. I found a few cards worth selling, so I definitely made my $20 back. However, a few days later, the police knocked on my door and asked me about the man who had sold me the cards. They questioned me, asked to take a picture of the cards for evidence, then left. I later found out that the man was wanted for kidnapping and murder. After some people complained about a weird smell emanating from his truck, the police searched it and found a woman's dead body decomposing, wrapped up in sheets in the trunk, the same trunk he stored my Pokemon cards in. I lost my job recently due to some health concerns, and decided to move back in with my parents. Since their home doesn't have much storage, I decided I would sell a bit of my furniture on Craigslist. I needed all the money I could get. I listed my couch, my TV stand, and a few other things I planned to get rid of. Within the first few hours, I got a couple of responses. But it was mostly people who would inquire once, try to lowball me, then stop responding. I knew what my stuff was worth, so I wasn't about to let myself get scammed. Eventually, I got a response from a man who seemed really interested in the couch. He was willing to pay full price and pick it up. He just wanted to come in person to view it to make sure there were no stains or damage to it. I was staying with my parents at this point, but most of my furniture was still in my apartment. I still had it until the end of the month. I agreed to meet him there, and we set a date and time for the same day. I drove to my old place and waited for him to arrive. I pulled the couch out of the wall so he could inspect it properly. Then there was a knock at the door. When I opened it, there were 3 men standing there. I was a bit surprised. I was only expecting one to show up, but I figured he'd brought his friends to help him carry it. "Hello, are you here for the couch?" I asked. "Yeah," one of the men said, and the 3 of them walked past me into my apartment. They walked over to the couch and said, "This the couch?" I told them it was, and that was when one of them pulled out a gun and said, "I'll take it." I froze, unsure what to do. I put my hands up to surrender, and one of the men shoved me into the kitchen. I didn't dare move. I watched as they stole almost everything worth of value from my place. It took around 20 minutes, but eventually they shut the front door and drove away. I waited for another 20 minutes in shock from what had just happened. I was happy to be alive. My phone and car was stolen, so I ran to the neighbor's house and phoned the police. I reported the incident, and the police are currently investigating. The man's Craigslist account has been deleted, but I was able to give a detailed description of the 3 men. I just hope the police were able to arrest them. I now know how stupid it was to send out my address. Never, under any circumstances, should you do what I did, as you never know who you're talking to on the internet. I'm in the market for a new gaming PC, but since I'm on a budget, I decided to browse Craigslist to see if I could find anything. I follow a lot of streamers and really wanted to get into streaming on Twitch myself, so I needed something capable of streaming while also running games. I browsed for a few weeks on multiple different sites with no luck, until the other day I came across an ad on Craigslist for a very nice looking gaming computer. It had RGB lights in it and had some of the newer parts I was looking for, and it was only listed for $450, which is only slightly over my budget. I saw that it was only posted a few minutes ago, so I quickly sent a response before someone else tried to buy it. I got a response right away and started chatting with the seller. They said their name was Sam and that the PC was in perfect condition. When I asked why they were selling it, they explained that they got gifted a new one recently and had no need for their old one. I was excited and told them I could come pick it up tomorrow, as it was kind of late today. But they insisted that I came that day, saying that they were going out of town the next and wouldn't be able to sell it to me for a while. It was around 7 p.m. at this point, but since I really wanted the computer, I went against my better judgment and asked my mom to drive me to the address, which was about 15 minutes away. We headed out, and when we arrived, there was a woman greeting us outside. I assumed this was Sam. I got out of the car while my mom waited inside. They motioned for me to come in the house, and I followed. Inside the house was a man, who I assumed to be Sam's husband. The man and woman just stood there staring at me. The looks on their faces were a little weird. It was almost uncomfortable, with the silence of the house becoming louder. "Where's the PC?" I asked, trying to get one of them to speak. They looked at each other, and that's when Sam said, "It's down here, honey," and pointed towards a door that led to the basement. It was dark, and I wasn't about to go into some basement with a bunch of strangers. I asked if they could bring it up for me, but they refused, claiming that it was too heavy for them to carry. They insisted, and when I kept refusing, they seemed to get angry. The man grabbed my wrist, tried to pull me down to the basement, and that's when I got a phone call. It was my mom. The man let go. I quickly said in the phone, "Oh, I forgot the money, I'll come grab it," and ran outside. Luckily, they didn't try to stop me. I got in the car and started crying, telling my mom everything that had happened. We reported it to the police, but there wasn't much they could do as no crime actually took place. But I know for a fact that there was no gaming PC down there.